Thank you very much. I'm Suba Churchill. I'm an activist, and I've been an activist for the last 28 years, and still counting. And if there is anyone who others would wish to retire, maybe in the sector is Suba Churchill, but I refuse to retire. The Right Honorable Raila Odinga, Your Excellencies, present and former governors present, and other dignitaries, it is my pleasure to speak on behalf of a sector that I've served for a number of years and to show solidarity with some of the sentiments that have been expressed here. I've had the privilege to be part of the team that worked on the Constitution of Kenya, sitting as delegate number 463 at the Bomas Constitutional Conference in 2003 and 2004, and not only sat as a delegate, but co-chaired the Technical Committee on Citizenship and the Bill of Rights. And so my submissions here today are going to be based on the provisions of the Constitution. One of the provisions of a Constitution under Article 38(2) is that every citizen has a right to free, fair, and regular elections based on universal suffrage. And that is provided under the Bill of Rights. Article 35 of the same Constitution tells us that every person has a right to access information held by the state, and more so when that information is required to protect a right or fundamental freedom. What am I trying to say? That those who have made it look as if asking for the opening of the server is like extracting somebody's tooth without the benefit of anesthetics should know that accessing information held by the server is a fundamental right protected under Article 35 of the Constitution. And so, irrespective of how the Supreme Court ruled, Article 35 of the Constitution remains operational, and any Kenyan at any point in time has a right to demand access to information held by the state of its agencies, including the IBC, to certify themselves that indeed their right to free and fair elections as provided for under Article 38 was protected, and that the results that the IBC announced were as they ought to be. I know there are friends who have told us that the 2022 elections were the freest, the fairest. But as one who has observed elections for the African Union in 28 African countries so far, I will tell you that there cannot be free and fair elections if the vote before it is cast is different from the vote after it is cast. The figures that we have been treated to here indicate that the votes before they were cast multiplied for some candidates after they were cast. And therefore, the results as announced by the IBC on the presidential vote do not meet the requirements of Article 86 of the Constitution that requires that no matter what method is used in conducting the vote, they must be verifiable, they must be accurate, and all this seems to be missing in this process. Every time this discussion crops up with my colleagues in the sector, I ask them one simple question. Kwamba juzi tuliona watu wakienda kwa shamba la mwingine wakaiba kondoo. Ikiwa huyo mtu ambaye alibiwa kondoo anashuku watu fulani na aseme, juzi nimepoteza kondoo kadhaa, mamia ya kondoo, na nashuku kwamba kuna moja iko kwa hii nyumba. The solution is simple. Open the door, let the owners of the kondoo certify themselves that indeed you are not holding any of the lost. That is the stand of the civil society. That there can be no reconciliation without justice. And there can be no justice without truth. That truth can only be ascertained not by my friend Wasonga going to subject this data, but by the holders of the information making that information available, because we'll end up confusing the masses. Because your lecturers will come up with their own figures. Other people will also come with their own. Let those who are holding the information make it available pursuant to Article 35 of the Constitution. That is the stand of the civil society. We have been told in Article 88 of the Constitution that the IBC is one of the constitutional commissions. As one who participated in writing this Constitution, I've looked at the provisions relating to the functions of the IBC. And I think, and I want to suggest, that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is too important a commission to be established just like all the other constitutional commissions. As an election observer, I know for a fact that there are three types of commissions. Ours falls under the constitutional commissions. Then there is the mixed model and the government model. It is my submission that what is in contention in this matter is not the panel. It is the formula being used to establish the commission. And I want to urge us to admit that our country and our state of democratic development is still too backward to let the president and incumbent president run the show by presiding over the appointment of everybody else who contributes people into the panel that sets up the commission. I want to remind us that in 2002, the only reason we had free and fair and credible elections that met the frameworks as set out in Article 86 is when we had different actors, critical stakeholders, saying this will be our representative in the commission. So what we are calling for as a civil society is a review of the method of setting up the IBC. And we are saying that whatever is in this constitution is not cast on stone. That it is not about the panel, it is about relooking at Article 88 of the Constitution and saying this formula is wrong. And Dr. Wasonga will agree with me that as our mathematics teachers used to say, when you get the formula wrong, the answer can never be right. We will never get it right until we get the formula of establishing, not reconstituting, establishing the commission. Because the commission is the one that registers citizens as voters. It's the one that delimits boundaries of constituencies and wards. It's the one that updates the voters' roll. It's the one that oversees the resolution of disputes of nominations. It's the same one that presides over referenda and elections. We are saying this commission must be treated differently. And we have examples in that same constitution. The manner in which, for example, the Revenue Allocation Commission is established, where there is consultation, where people, stakeholders have representatives, is perhaps some of the formula we need to borrow and bring into the establishment of the IBC. Lastly, as a representative of the sector, I would be failing in my responsibility if I don't raise this. Way back in 2013, a new law was passed, the Public Benefit Organizations Act, that was supposed to repeal the NGO Coordination Act and establish an enabling environment for the civil society to thrive and make their contribution in a socio-economic development. That law that was passed by Parliament in 2012 assented to by former President Mwai Kibaki on 13 February 2013 is yet to become operational because successive regimes have refused to operationalize it. We are seeing on the other side people who called us names, said we are evil society. I'm not surprised that day in, day out, they celebrate the contributions made by Kenyans in the diaspora, but never mention the significant contribution that this sector makes to the economy, creating jobs and ensuring that those who are underprivileged, those who are underserved, get some of the services that government cannot provide. Lastly, I agree with those who are saying that hata kama kuna majadiliano inaendelea kwa kikao fulani, moto pia lazima iwe inawaka nje. That's how it works. That's how it works. Without pressure. And some of the things they don't admit, you know, when people are complaining about salary, what they are not admitting is that 2 weeks of mass action cost them the money they would have used to pay. They'll not tell you that. But these are the realities. We need to cost them another 2 weeks so that those civil servants can join us in the demonstrations. This is how revolutions happen. Revolutions don't happen when everybody is paid on time. We like it. We like it. Some of us in the activist side of the world like it when everybody is not comfortable. So, Baba, another 2 rounds of Maandamano. And all civil servants who are not yet paid will join you in the struggle for change. One thing people who are close to you may not tell you, and which people say outside, is that you don't seem to have the ruthlessness that is required in this struggle. That, you know, my grandfather was a well-known partaker of traditional brew, busa. But he would not entertain a fly around his calabash. You are still entertaining people who have defected. People who have crossed over. People who have betrayed the struggle. By now, there should have been a by-election ongoing in Kisumu for the Senate. By now, we should be having a by-election in Langata. People are saying you don't have the ruthlessness. This struggle requires some level of ruthlessness. And it is not that there is no shortage of people who can lead in those constituencies. Bondo constituencies are sure bet. What are we waiting with that? Baba, you need some level of ruthlessness in this struggle. Because if people are aiming to kill you, why not kill them first? That is what the struggle is about. I'm glad to see my colleagues, Kenya University Students Organization. I want to tell you, I'm the founder chairman of the Kenya University Students Organization. And when we were founding it in 1995, some of us were expelled. Then we became clever. We say, if you are thrown out through the door, find a way of coming back through the window. So when we went to the Register of Societies, we say, you in particular, we know you are notorious. You have been expelled. You are not a student. We went and registered in a driving school and came back and say, now you see, we are students in a driving school. Those are some of the creativity that we need. Asanteni sana.
Vijana mnataka nani? Baba. Na wazee mnataka nani? Baba. Hadi wa mama mnataka nani? Baba.
Sisi ni wa baba. I hope my brother Suba will not mind me sharing the following. I want to share with Baba 2 things about Suba as he greets him.